I'm here with Mr. Duong Wong. We know each other from Elite Meet. He spent, was it 15 years in
15.
Naval Special Operations, and he has one of the most compelling life stories I have ever heard. Dash, first off, I would love to know how you are doing. Are you healthy? Walk us through what you just went through.
Yeah, I'm back up to 100%, and definitely had a little scare there for the last couple of weeks. I got diagnosed with the COVID-19 virus, and reasons why that was so damning was I also had lung cancer in 2017. So I have my right lung removed, and then now I have a virus that attacks your lungs, and so a lot of complications and troubles through that, but. Fought through it, had a lot of support from my wife as well as the nursing staff down Valley, and living and breathing and happy again. So,
what was it like? What were you going through emotionally through this process? And I think you were telling me before there was a moment when you kind of were sitting on the stairs and just kind of were re-examining. So we're getting things put into perspective pretty quickly.
Really quickly, yeah. Well, the hardest part in the beginning for the first 7 days was I didn't know if I actually had the virus. I went to the emergency room. They swabbed my brains where they stick these rods up your nose and kind of like a flu test or whatever. And they said they were going to send it off. But because I'm young, didn't have a lot of interactions with the people that had the virus, I was at real low risk. So they actually just sent me home. They kind of, I won't say lied, but they didn't tell me the truth. They didn't send those reports in. So 5 days going through the virus, I mean, fevers were intense, body aches were intense, a lot of chest pain. I called the hospital and asked for my results, and they said, oh, because you're such low risk, we didn't send it in. So now I'm like going through my head, do I have this virus? Do I just have a flu or cold? Do I quarantine myself in my room and stay away from everybody, which I already have? But there was a lot of uncertainty. And then I got to a point where I couldn't breathe. I was sitting on my staircase with convulsing coughs. And then the coughs got so bad that I started dry heaving a bunch. And I've lost 30 pounds. And when I was sitting on that staircase, I was like, this is, in the military, we call it the ABCs, airway, breathing, and circulation. It's like I'm having a lot of difficulty with my airway and my breathing. So I better get to the ER. When I went the second time, they swabbed me, and within 24 hours, they said, yes, you have the virus, and you're at the most contagious part of the virus. So I can either admit myself to the ICU, or I can lock myself in my bedroom and stay away from family. And I've already lived in the ICU going through cancer for over a month, and I said, I'm going to stay in my bedroom. So that's where I stayed for the next 6 days. My wife brought me food into the room, and I have an oxygen machine. And slowly started to get better. But yeah, it was scary. It was hard for me because in my mind, I always think that I'm just fake, like I don't want to be that guy who thought he had the virus and was complaining about all this stuff and he just had a common cold. So once I finally got it and they confirmed that I had the virus, I was like, all right, like at least I know I'm going through it. And I was able to shift gears. But sitting on that staircase, I actually reevaluated my will, made sure everything was in line for my family, because I got one lung. So I was like, my chances of actually surviving the peak of the virus is pretty slim. But we did
it. Well, people need to hear this story because of everything that you have been through recently, and then doing that with one lung is insane. And it's a testament to willpower. It's a testament to just the frame of mind that you're in. I just was there like something going through your head that was maybe like a mantra, or just how the hell did you get through this mentally? Or were you just like toasted and you're just like couldn't even think of anything?
No, a lot. My mind was clouded a lot because of the fevers, but I knew that if I had a respiratory illness, most important thing for me, especially in my condition, was to check my pulse oximeter. There's a little clip that clips onto your finger, and I kept that on religiously all day. Right when I woke up, I'd put it on and monitor my O2 saturation levels, because I knew once it got below 87% of O2, going through my body that that was pretty critical. So I'm monitoring my airways, or I'm monitoring my oxygen levels, and then staying extremely hydrated. And the hardest thing for me to do was keep down food, but I was trying to control what I could control. Wasn't going to blow it out of proportion, wasn't going to overreact or get super nervous, but control the things that I had in my hands that I could tangibly control. So monitor, hydration, lots of rest, not overdoing things, and then staying away from my family. And I felt comfortable knowing that I had all this in line. Then it was just a matter of letting my body just fight this thing and give it all the nutrients and support I could give it.
Well, speaking of fighting things, like your whole life has just been this amazing story of overcoming odds and finding some way to push forward. Can you rewind and just kind of go back to the beginning and just tell us your life story?
My life story? So I got an interesting name. My name is Duong Wong. That comes from birth. My name was actually just a line on a birth certificate. So the nurses actually nicknamed me Dash. And when my mom they finally got in touch with my mom left. My parents didn't want anything to do with me. And but you can't, because I guess they were able to track her. I don't know how that works, but she came back to the hospital, picked me up. She's like, "Fine, your name's Dash." And from then on, my entire childhood was just insane. My mom got into drugs. We were homeless. I was raised in the streets of Honolulu, Hawaii, selling leis to tourists at the age of 5. And but I don't know. It's interesting when you're going through a life situation like that when you don't know any better. It's kind of just the cards you were dealt. I had a happy childhood, man. Like, I was thrilled to go pick flowers all day and hang out and make leis and feel resourceful and feel like I'm giving back to my family. Like, I didn't feel like it was doom and gloom and like, why is this happening to me? I never felt like a victim. I always looked for ways to like support. Like, what can I do right now to help? And I was still a kid, so skateboarding, surfing, swimming, playing at the beach all day. I mean, I had a really good childhood, but it wasn't childhood that most kids had. Ended up getting arrested when I was 11 because of shoplifting, basically for food. We didn't have any money, so got picked up by the cops. And then when they looked for my mom was already in jail for she got picked up for prostitution. So from there, I got put into Child Protective Services, and I got adopted by the Wongs. And the Wongs adopted me when I was 13. My father was a tattoo artist, and my mother was a stay-at-home mom. She's Thai, and my foster father is Chinese Japanese, and strict. I don't know if it's the same in your household, but academics, mathematics, reading, like anything to do with school was everything to them. And looking at my grades, they put them in every single after-school program you could think of. So I started school in the 5th grade, and I couldn't read very well. I was at 1st grade level reading. Couldn't do any math other than I knew how to count money really well. So, which helped me a ton. But I was so stoked to be wanted, especially when I got adopted. I felt like this place of belonging. I had a family that actually cared about how I grew as a man in life and wanted to give me all the tools to succeed. So I wanted to prove to them. My entire life is always trying to prove to somebody that I was worthy. Like, I can do this. You just give me a chance. What do you want me to do? And felt really awesome to have this mentorship and guidance from a father who loved me. And I ended up graduating high school with honors. I had an Air Force Academy package signed by Congress and the governor of Hawaii to go to the Air Force. And I was 17. And lo and behold, I wanted to get off the island as quick as possible, and I had to wait 6 months for the next academy class. So I went with my surfing buddy to the he was going to become a Navy SEAL, and I took the ASVAB with him, and I was like, yeah, I'll join, and I ended up becoming a Navy SWCC. So
what is a SWCC?
It stands for Special Warfare Combatant Craft Crewman, and we're kind of like this dirty riverine secret of the Navy. But we based our rate started on the rivers of Vietnam and through all the river warfare that went on. And our job was mainly to insert special operation forces into harm's way and also be able to pull them off, whether it's boats, driving vehicles, jet skis, you kind of name it. Like there's a bunch of unconventional platforms that we can use, but our main job is to get guys to where they need to go, and then provide them the security and safety on target and get them out of there as well.
So the Naval Special Operations Boat Team.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, let's go into that chapter. Walk us through some of the interesting parts of your 15-year military career.
Well, of course, man, like everyone told me I wasn't going to make it, especially going through the schoolhouse. 17-year-old kid. Is the first time in 2006 that they opened up the rate to anybody that wanted it, like going through boot camp. In order to apply for a special forces program, you have to have some time in the Navy before you can ask to transfer into a rate. But no, they just said, hey, if you make it through training, you get a signing bonus, and you're in. So I was 126 pounds straight out of high school, little 5'6" kid, and the guys I was competing against were these massive muscle heads and just guys who were in the 30s or late 20s who've been through so much in their lives. So it was an interesting part for me, but I was so shocked to see like guys that I looked up to, especially going through training, that I kind of clung to for mentorship or guidance or just overall morale boosting, to see them quit. It blew my mind, because there was never it wasn't an option for me, like quitting. I didn't have X, Y, and Z. I didn't have life chapters. I never had a job before. These guys have been like police officers or firefighters, or they've done things in their lives, and they're like, this was something they want to try. This wasn't something I wanted to try. This was just it. I'm like, oh, this is what I have to do. These are the things I have to accomplish to get to Z. And so just to hear someone quit, to me, like, boggled my mind. Quitting was never an option. It was nothing I ever thought about. I couldn't just toss the cards and try something else. So when I saw these grown guys quit, I was like, there's no way I'm better than you. Like, you're older, you're wiser, you've been through so much. Why are you quitting? And they're like, I just don't like it. I'm uncomfortable, or I'm just done with it. I'm at my peak limit. I can't take this anymore. And I learned a lot through that, especially within myself, was that I don't know, I just have this weird drive with me that if I do something, I'm going to follow it through to the end. If I don't make it, I'm going to find a way. Even though I failed, I'm going to find a way to get back and succeed. So I actually had to go through the schoolhouse twice because I tore my ITB band on a beach run. And my leg locked out. I was unable to run for 6 months. And they were asking me, like, is there another rate you want to do in the Navy? Like, maybe this isn't for you. And I was like, no, yeah, I'll be fine. And I just got back on the horse and kept going, and graduated top of my class. Spent 6 years in San Diego at a boat team there, and then transferred over to the East Coast to development group for the rest of my military career. So, yeah.
What was it? Jesus. When you look back on the career, when did you leave? Like a year or two ago?
Last year. Not even last year, last Thanksgiving.
When you look back on that 15-year career, what are the things that you think are going to stay with you the rest of your life, and how you approach life?
Man, I think a big thing that's sticking with me, and it's kind of still developing into this new transition out of the military, is kind of interesting for all guys. But my military career, it just really opened up my mind to the things that I'm actually capable of. Like, to put it in perspective, while I was growing up in Hawaii, I've never driven a boat, never shot a gun, never jumped out of an airplane. I've never done any of these things. And all of a sudden, I have a notion of something I want to accomplish, and then I became the best in the world at it. So knowing that I was trainable and I had the motivation and drive to do something, it really, especially with my transition out, it shifted my focus onto, and elite meet was a huge part of this, but it shifted my focus on not what I could do to provide for my family, but what I wanted to do. Because I knew that if I put my mind and my drive to something, I will accomplish it. Even with failures and even with downfalls of things not working out, I've already been there on the beach, getting beat, getting wet and sandy, getting shot at, seeing guys not coming home. Just shifting that focus and understanding those same fundamentals that I learned in the Navy will help me drive and persevere to my next goal in life. So
talk about your transition.
That'd be the big.
You're now one of the 3 regional distributors for Killcliff, or regional distribution managers, I think it is. Tell me about the path from getting out to where you're at, because you did a little bit of a detour. You did a nationwide detour.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me before we get into it, they're like, your wife is a saint. Because I have a wife, I've got 2 beautiful boys, 3 and 5. They're like, I cannot believe your wife would, they're like, my wife would kill me if I put her through this. And the interesting notion is I was actually sitting in my living room, and my wife came to me and she's like, let's sell everything. I think her name is like Marie Kondo or something. This lady who folds all her clothes really nice and like takes care of, gets rid of all the stuff she doesn't want. My wife's watching this stuff on Netflix, and she's like, I want to get rid of everything, sell it all, and I want to travel the country. And I was looking at my life, and I was like, I literally got nothing going on. I'm not going to be able to afford my mortgage now. I'm not going to be able to afford like a lot of the payments and things we have going on because I'm getting kicked out of the military or medically retired. And I was like, you want to do it? Let's do it. And those seeds, I drew this on a dry erase board because of Elite Meet. And I drew on the dry erase board the 3 things that I loved and wanted to accomplish, and triangulated them into one single mission statement that could help me focus and drive. So the 3 things was a Volkswagen, travel, and veterans, because that's kind of like my identity, right? That's kind of like what I believe in, my hobbies, the things that I enjoy and that I'm good at. So we came up with the idea going to VaynerMedia in New York, getting to hang out with that crew, understanding distribution of content and social media tactics. And I was like, well, maybe this is something I can do. Like kind of like the drive of a social media influencer, even though nobody knows me. But still, this sounds fun. Now I can go across America with a mission. I'm not just going to go half-heartedly and travel across. I actually have something I can drive and accomplish. Yeah, that's kind of how it all got started.
And so, when we were in that room with Jeff Nicholson from VaynerMedia, and, walk us through that moment to hooking up with Killcliff, which they became your sponsor to go around the country interviewing veterans. How did you land that sponsorship?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I actually went to 2 Elite Meet events. I did the one in New York, and that kind of planted the seed and helped me build my mission statement for what I want to do. Was hanging out with those guys, understanding all the tactics that they had. They even gave I think through Elite Meet, I had like the 66-page PowerPoint that Gary Vee used to distribute content, and I just all day I'm just swiping through these things, trying to understand all the different channels. I didn't even know what Twitter was. Like, I'm signing up for all these accounts. I don't know about short waveform content. Like, just trying to understand this new. It's like looking at a new weapon, right? Like, I've never shot this weapon system before. How do I learn it? So I'm going through the manuals. I left there, and for 3 months, I started building this Volkswagen up. I started interviewing veterans, learning new things with my iPhone, getting microphones to get audio a little bit better, doing all these things, and started really enjoying it, and then building some traction. And it wasn't until I started building all these Facebook Live videos in my Volkswagen with veterans, and but it really wasn't going anywhere, right?
Yep. I think you're back.
You still
Okay,
there?
cool. Yeah, you're back. So were you traveling the country doing this, or was this like you were in Virginia Beach and you're interviewing veterans around Virginia Beach in your Volkswagen?
Yep, that's it. There's so many veteran brands and organizations in Virginia Beach. There's a couple military bases, guys who got out, started clothing lines, CrossFit gyms, like Strike Force, little energy packet companies, tactical gear companies. And basically, I went on Google and I looked for every single veteran brand, nonprofit organization in my area, and just drove there. I'd call them, kind of prep them, ask them some questions. But my biggest claim to fame was, look, this is live. Like that's what I want. And I said, this is for the veterans, but it's mainly for the service members who are in to help develop an idea or a plan for the transition out. That's what I'm looking to do. And if we do it live, it'll be raw, unedited, uncut, unscripted, so that the service member would have more connection to the video. They're not looking at things coming in or fancy. It's just two dudes hanging out in a Volkswagen, which I thought was pretty comical. Or
dash
iconic.
in a van. That's
dash
your, that's
in a
your,
van. Yeah.
Dash in a van. So what was the connection to Killcliff?
So fast forward 4 months or 3.5 months of traveling around Virginia. Elite Meat gave me another call, and you guys were doing an event in San Francisco. I still didn't have a job. I'm driving around in a bus. Sometimes I'm living in in parking lots in Walmart, because there's, I'm going out to West Virginia and driving around, and I'm loving life. Like, I'm having fun.
You,
meeting all
your
these
wife,
really cool people,
and your two kids.
2 kids and a dog. Yeah. And so I had all this content that I built, and I guess the veterans that I was interviewing started talking to each other and kind of pinging content around, like, dude, yeah, this guy dashing in vans, traveling around. And I don't know if you remember him. His name's Turk. He's from the Navy.
Yeah, Mike Turkenkoff.
He's from the Navy SEAL. Yeah.
Yep.
He's from the Navy SEAL. We're in San Francisco, and this is the best. This is the best part, is Keep Trucking was there. I knew nothing about this organization. I don't know anything about job interviews. And they just started putting people on the spot and interviewing people. And I bombed my interview, like the worst job interview. And I didn't know who was sitting in front of me, but what was his name? He did all the interviews.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And he just starts asking me questions while we're eating dinner. And I didn't realize what was going on with the dialogue that we had.
You didn't realize it was an interview?
I had no idea. He's asking me kind of, like these be around the bush questions about, like, what do you think about this? And how would you react to this scenario? And I'm kind of just sitting like, who is this dude? And I was like, well, this is what I would do, like, or this is how I feel about that. And everybody else got job. Like, we were in that Elite Meat room in the building, the skyscraper, looking over the Golden Gate Bridge, and everyone started going into these Keep Trucking job interviews, and my name was the only one that never got called. And I was like, oh no, I blew it. Like, came out to San Francisco, got this great new tech company running up, and everyone's getting job, and they're crushing it. And, guys are getting, like, hired on the spot, and I was like, well, that sucks. Like, I don't know what's next. And I was like, well, I still got my van idea. I'm still going to run with it. And Mike Turkenkoff came up to me. He's like, hey, have you heard of Killcliff? And Mike Turk and John Timar, who's another prior SEAL, who's the COO of Killcliff, have a really good relationship. I think they served as a team together. And we were drinking Killcliff there, and I was like, this is the first time I've ever had this drink. He's like, I'm seeing your vision. I'm showing him content and videos that I did.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing your content. He's like, but I'm, maybe if you had a drink there, maybe if you had, like, a sponsor. And right after he said that, I went back up to the classroom. And do you remember ties.com? Omar said,
I know him well.
Yeah. So Omar goes up and does a really great presentation about startups and entrepreneurship. And what I did that might have been a little different from a lot of the guys there at Elite Meat was I record or audio recorded everything, just because when I hear something, I don't really grab all the stuff, but I can keep listening to it. And at the very end of his thing, he asked the question, like, does anybody have an idea or something that they want guidance on? And the room was silent, man. Like, I think we're all kind of in that. I mean, you always would speak up, and help, run the dialogue. Like, come on, guys. And something in me, I just raised my hand. I was like, yeah, I've got this Volkswagen. I have this passion for vets. I want to build a platform where I can help dudes. And then he looked at me. He's like, well, what do you need? What do you need to move forward with it? And I was like, I need money. I need funding. And is it J. Henry Williams or J.R. Williams? J.R. Williams.
Yeah, Ryan Williams.
Right. Yeah, Ryan Williams. That was it. I didn't know that was going anywhere. I didn't really understand what he was offering. And so I kind of walked off. Adam Bolsick grabbed me by the shoulder. He's like, you need to go talk to Williams.
Omar.
And no, he's like, you need to go talk to Williams. Williams was waiting for me in the corner. And he grabbed me by the shoulders. He's like, are you going to go over there and talk to him? And I was like, for what? He's like, what are you kidding me for what? He's offering help. And I was like, well, I don't know what to say. And he's like, well, try it on me. So I was like, okay. I was like, hi, my name. I went through this whole pitch, like horrible pitch. And he looked at me. He's like, that's not what you're going to say. That's not what you're going to say at all. And I was like, yeah, $100 or something. He's like, no, that's not how you're going to stage this. He's like, this is how much you're going to ask for. He's going to come back with a counteroffer, and then you're going to tell him how you're going to support him and how you guys can do this as a collab. It's not just him helping you out. It's you guys helping each other. And I was so nervous. I was like, okay, well, I'll try it. And I go up to Omar, present myself, repeat verbatim of what I just got coached. And Omar shakes my hand. He's like, all right, hit me up on DM on Instagram after all this is over, and we'll move forward with it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just got my first sponsor. Like, this is crazy. This is how it works. I was like, this is nuts. But lo and behold, it didn't work out. I was so new. I didn't understand what I was doing. I don't know how to make promotional ads for other guys. And it was a really good learning curve. The ask is so important, but you need to know what you're asking for. You need to understand what that person is giving you and how you're going to give something back. Those things weren't going through my head.
Through your head, you knew to ask for X amount of dollars, but what are you getting? You're going to get one post per week in this channel, and I'm also going to have it on this. And even if that's an imperfect proposal, at least it's something specific that they can mark up.
Exactly. And I had none of it. I had an idea, I had a van, and I was just doing something. But there was, there's a give and take that you have to have to build a relationship. Like when someone sponsors you, you're building a partnership with somebody, and you gotta have a structured way to give back. Because if it's not structured, then it's all gonna kind of fall apart, and it's gonna kind of ruin your reputation, especially if that person talks to you about it to another company that you're trying to get a sponsorship through. And then it gets really cloudy when you just look for all kinds of sponsorships, and then you don't realize these people are competing. Yeah, and you don't realize these companies don't work with these companies, or this is a competing company against another one. They're like, why would you come to me?
You have Joe's Plumbing Supply with Goldman Sachs, and not exactly the same audience.
Yep. So I guess round robin, how all this ties in together is I failed my pitch with ties.com, and I'm happy that I did, because I learned so much about what I was asking for. And what I was really asking for was someone to take me under their wing and support me in what I was doing, but I didn't need money. What I needed was coaching, and I needed the backing of somebody to be like, hey, here's a couple of our mission sets that we kind of want hit. Maybe you can practice with your platform in X, Y, and Z, meeting with a social media influencer, interviewing them, meet these wickets, and we can support you in this little way. And that's what Killcliff came in, and it was such a blessing to get to sit down with John Timar. And the way all X, Y, and Z with VaynerMedia, with my pitch to ties.com, with my meeting with Turk to Killcliff was, I had a 66-page Rolodex of how to distribute content that Killcliff never had, and I could speak it knowledgeably. And that kind of blew them away. So I gave them something. I gave them tactics for their media and their outlet channels they weren't doing through Vayner. And I didn't make it look like it was me. I didn't hold all high and mighty this is my. I gave them the Rolodex and it was online. It's free. It's open source. I was like, here, And then I spoke about it, and I went, this is how you distribute through all your channels. You guys do nothing on LinkedIn. And I was like, why don't we plug some content on LinkedIn? And John was like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, and he was like, go for it. I was like, no, it needs to come from you. Like, this needs to come from you because you're running the company and you have a good following, and all the people who follow you are CEOs and executives of other companies. They're going to listen to what you're saying. If I post something, my channels are so small and minuscule, but they're huge in the soft community, it's not going to get the traction that you're looking for. And that was cool. And then they asked me, well, what can we do for you? And it was that same scenario that I sat down with Omar, where I was like, well, shit, what do I say? Like, what do I need? But I was a little bit more ready for it. And I said, this is my mission. This is what I want to accomplish. And this is kind of what I want out of it. Like, I wanted to build a social media channel. I wanted this huge following, right? I wanted to have like the 1 million followers and everything. And I said, it'd be really valuable. It was no cost to you guys, but if you allowed me to utilize Killcliff's network and influencers and interview them in my van, I was like, that would be huge. I would really love that because it helped me build my brand, which I didn't have anything, but I was trying to build something. And he's all about it. He's like, yeah, he was like, oh yeah. And I was like, and I have this Volkswagen. I was like, let's wrap it. Let's wrap it with Killcliff. I can be a driving billboard across America for your company. Like, everyone will see it in places it's never been. And he's like, yes. So I started portraying, instead of the ask, I started giving him things for his company.
Start with adding value first. Learn who they are, get them to respect you, and yeah, it's just, oh God, it's so important, especially right now. I think in hard times, when right now in hard times, it's so easy to focus on the sale because you have to feed the family, and we have to do a transaction now. But that just because we're in hard times doesn't mean that relationships are less important. You have to start with building trust. And it's like, why should, for pitching people, it's like, why should we be listening to you? Like, what have you done for me? Like, people are reaching out 50, 100 times a day asking for something, but you came and you started by giving something.
Yep.
So you got the van wrapped up with Killcliff, and then you start driving around the country.
Yeah.
How many months did you drive around the country?
Just shy of 10 months. It's almost a year. And our campaign was to not only meet all of Killcliff's social media influencers and their affiliates, but to also go to do my mission was to go to veteran brands and organizations and just let them speak on my platform and redistribute content on Killcliff's channel. And then also was to go to every single military NEX or base that sold Killcliff, and I'd stage the van right outside. And I'm just really goal and focus driven. So my mission every time I got there was, I'm going to sell every single can off the shelf. So, and that's exactly what I did. We raised over $1 million that year for the Navy SEAL Foundation, and we just crushed across the country. So it was awesome. So
what was the moment when you decided, okay, enough, I should probably get in a house and out of the van?
So I'm in Colorado now. We didn't actually make it all the way to the West Coast, but for those who might watch this video, we're up in Aspen, and we're going over this road called Independence Pass, and it kind of drops into the back of Aspen. And as we did, the van started breaking down. It started doing what I call making oil, where my coolant and my oil are mixing. Oil pressure's going off the roof. So a lot of little problems with the van, especially going through the Rockies. And I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and it's just rough. It's not like, van life is nice. You get to camp, you get to go to cool places, but living is not easy. Like, you have to come up with really resourceful ways of making space, and my kids weren't potty trained, so there was a lot of accidents that were happening, and no laundry, like no way to clean. So we're hanging sheets up on trees, And about like month 7, I was like, dude, I'm getting a little like tired of this. And so we started developing, like, we'll do 3 days van, 4 days Airbnb. And that was how we kind of rotated. It was like, we don't need, we're not We're not homeless. We're houseless. We sold our home. I was like, but we could still afford to live in these Airbnbs, watch a little TV, get cleaned up. And it was a better half and half of travel. But we just started getting tired, man, especially being parents. And I needed some stability and structure for raising the kids. Like, there was no routine. It was so spontaneous. Like, we're going to an aquarium. Here's a zoo. Here's a theme park.
Yeah.
So we went to church on a Sunday out here, and the very next day, my wife got a job position at the Christian Academy, teaching students. And at that time, we were kind of just parking the bus at a friend's house, and he took us up to a horse stable. He's like, "You guys can stay at this horse stable all you want." Like, he didn't have horses, and there was a water spigot there, and I was like, "Well, let's play this out. Let's kind of see how this rolls out." And Amanda's job started getting better, but I was kind of in this. I had a sponsorship with Killcliff. It wasn't monetary, like there was no money coming in, but I had a cool mission. I had support from a great company. I just didn't have I wanted to be an employee. Like, I need money, right? I need some stability because I want to move out of the van and I want to get a little apartment or a house. So it was crazy. I started doing some interviews. Our property management is huge out here in the valley, Aspen through Carbondale. And it's like, well, I could definitely do that. A lot of hard labor. I got one lung though, so I still have medical complications. We're up in altitude. And I got 3 phone calls from 3 different ranch managers accepting my resume and wanting me to start working the next week. And this was a Friday. They all called me on the same day, on a Friday. And I was stoked. I was pumped because it came with lodging, it came with salary, so there's a lot of stability there. In my brain, I felt so much relief coming off my shoulders. Like, we're out of the van. Like, I can support the family. We got a roof over our heads. And then the 4th phone call was John Timar from Killcliff saying, "Dash in a van. We've got a position for you." That's when they started speaking to me about their distributor network that they were trying to build up. They asked me if I wanted it. So I had to sit that night. I said, I learned something, especially throughout my years in the military, is don't just jump on every opportunity that you have in front of you. And I had the chance where my life is so, slowed down that I could sit down with my wife, which I've never done in my military career. I've always got an opportunity while I was going through and knew that it would progress my career in the military and took it, like, "Hey, we have a deployment coming up. You have the skill sets we need. Will you go on that mission?" Yes. It's like, okay. Like, there was never a phone call like, "Hey, honey, like, what do you think about this opportunity?
Do you mind if I do this deployment?
Yeah, do you mind?" They say
Does
they
it
really
fit with
need
our family
me.
schedule?
They say I would be a great asset. I never had that luxury. But now I had 4 options on the table. So I sat down with my wife and I said, "Here are the properties that want me to manage, or here are the property management positions." And then I saved, and I was like, "And Killcliff wants to hire me on full time." And she's looked at me and she's like, "Well, that's the easiest decision we ever made." She's like, "You get to work with the Navy SEAL Foundation, give back to your guys, work with a cool company where it's, you have a relationship with them." She's like, "And you can grow," which was huge for me. I didn't see that side of the offer. She's like, "If you get a property management position, it's like, how are you going to scale that? How are you going to grow from it? You're stuck. And then if anything goes haywire with it, you're living on their property in their house. And then you're going to be in the exact same position." It's like, "Yeah, you're right." So on Monday, I signed on with Killcliff full time.
That is an amazing life story. That is an amazing life story. I think there's so much to take away from this. When you look at your first parts of your life and just keeping a positive attitude, when you look at your military experience and just not having quit in the vocabulary, when you look at how you handled your transition and taking aggressive, imperfect action towards something that you knew met your mission set, how resourceful you were, your willingness to try things that are completely outside of the comfort zone, even though you had no idea what you were doing on either social media or sponsorship. And then also just, I think, you know, it's just, it's really timely right now to hear this particular story of overcoming obstacles, whether people are going through their own health crisis, loss of job, or just generally shit's hitting the fan in their life. You know, your story is inspiration to everyone, and I'm damn lucky to know you. I'm like, my life is better because I know you. I really appreciate
Oh, geez.
that we're friends, dude.
I
Thanks.
appreciate you saying that, man. Thank you.